Come on, Livingston, we gotta go on and on and on. Together we can make it. We gotta go on and on and on. Come on, Livingston.
Knocks it through. Mullen bursting into the box. Josh Mullen.
Together we can make it.
Mullen's ball across, it's turned in. It's Pittman who's got it. Livingston leads.
Can they get the ball back in? O'Brien.
The lead! And Livingston have the lead.
Man, you score.
If we march together.
The full-time whistle blows and David Hay celebrates. And the Livingston fans join in exultation.
Come on, Livingston.
Livingston have the lead against Rangers, and they are certainly rising to a few occasions on their return to the top flight in Scotland.
Come on, Livingston. We gotta.
So welcome to this special preview episode for Livi versus Hamilton, or the others El Plastico, in association with 12thman Media. My name's Euan from Top Livi, and I'm delighted to be joined by Ben from Only Accies. Ben, how you doing?
I'm not too bad, man. Thanks a lot for having me on.
It's no problem. How you been coping with the kind of different way of watching football these days?
Oh, it's crap, mate, isn't it? Let's be honest. Like it's great that we get to see it in some form with the live streams and that, but as people have been saying online, it's no football, man. It's no football unless you're there, so...
It's not the same. I mind speaking to Gary Holt just before we started the season, and he was saying he's realised how vocal him and David Martindale are, because it just echoes around stadiums now.
Aye.
And bits like that. It's not the same environment at all, is it? But it's been a pretty hectic start to the new campaign. Plenty of games to kind of get our teeth sunk into. How would you assess Aki's start to the campaign?
We've just the last podcast we just released there, we kind of graded our month. We did a kind of month review, and it's no great, mate. Which obviously you'll be over the moon with. I mean, one good result obviously, which is beating Motherwell in the derby, but that game really papered over cracks, man. We've been poor from the start of the season, and it's a shame too, because I feel like, sure we'll get into maybe some of the transfers later on, but there's, I don't think the squad's necessarily a terrible squad. I just think we've had the greatest start, and like I said, the only kind of shining light is the derby one.
Well, yeah, that was the next one I was going to touch on. That's obviously a highlight of the season so far, and it was an ex-Livi man, Hakeem Adoffin, that got the winner as well. How have you found Hakeem so far? How's he settled in?
Really good, man. He was our runner-up for Player of the Month when we did it. Hakeem's been brilliant. Now, listen, I'm quite honest to say I had no idea who he was when we signed him, or when he was on trial initially. And I spoke to a few Livi fans, and they all said, all right player, but just never really got into our team. And but he's walked straight into our team. He started playing right centre back with us, and he's been excellent. Like I said, capped it off with a goal. But he was our runner-up for Player of the Month, man. I think he's been brilliant. Yeah,
he's quite flexible in the sense that he can play right wing back, right back. As you say, he's playing right centre back for you guys. But he had a spell in the team when we signed him. Our first season back up, we signed him in January, and he signed a 2.5-year deal. So obviously had aspirations that he'd be a good signing. But I think he got injured kind of pre-season last year, and it just didn't really happen for him after that. And we had kind of 3 players in front of him that could also play right back. So it just became quite difficult for him to break into his side. But it's good to see that he's gone over to Accies, and he's kind of started off really well there. You've had a number of key players move on in the summer as well. With that in mind, what would be a successful season for Hamilton?
A successful season, any season, mate, is staying up.
Yeah.
Like I say that if we kept every single one of those players, which were all first team players, our main goal is staying up. I don't think at this point, and I don't think, and I hope in my lifetime, but I don't think we'll see us pushing much further. I mean, under Alex Neil, we had a kind of weird period, really successful period under Alex Neil, where for whatever reason that man just got the best out of every player there. And I mean, the players, if you're looking back at the players, weren't they fantastic players? But what they did for us was outstanding. And then when he left, I think maybe some fans kind of had it in our mindset that we would kick on from there and build on from that great success, but that's obviously not happened. Our goal every season is to stay up. And even though those players have been big losses, it wouldn't have changed our aspirations.
Yeah. Hamilton are very similar to ourselves in that sense that every season we do predictions, and the first thing I always say is I'll take 10th place in a heartbeat. The two clubs are much the same kind of support-wise, much the same resources-wise, and any season that you stay in the top flight is a successful season for clubs like us. So in that sense, as I say, there's so much similarity between the two sides. Moving on to kind of your transfer business, you've had to be maybe a wee bit creative in the transfer market. I've seen you've kind of dipped into the non-league side and down south with a couple of players that have came in. Which of the players has kind of caught your eye so far?
Well, we touched on one already. Hakeem, he's been outstanding. Like I said, was our kind of runner-up player of the month. Yeah. Lee Hodson's been another decent signing. You can tell he's obviously played at this level before, and you can kind of tell he's got that kind of more experienced head on him. Yeah. From what we've seen so far, but kind of nobody else has really kind of had a chance to shine. I mean, 2 of the games have been against the Old Firm, which is backs to the wall, and the kind of the 3 games that you would expect us to get something out, St Mirren, Ross County and Motherwell, we've not been at our best. So nobody's covered himself in glory, to be totally honest with you. But I can see signs that Hakeem's going to hopefully kick on, and Lee Hodson I think will end up being a good signing, but nobody's covered himself in glory this month, to be honest, man. Yeah,
it's obviously difficult because, as I was kind of touching on earlier, you guys have lost likes of McGowan, Gogic, Miller, Alston, all in one go, who, as you mentioned, are regular first-team players. So it's difficult to try and replace that when you have kind of, it just so happens they've all kind of left the club at the same time. Yep. So it's always going to be a difficult job for Brian Rice, isn't it?
It is going to be difficult, man. And they were the players who we kind of got the feeling they were going to be going maybe kind of midway through the season, coming to the end of the season. There was 1 or 2 hopes for Adam McGowan, but he obviously ended up going to Kelly. But we kind of expected those players to leave, so it wasn't a huge surprise to any of us. And we know that this happens all the time, man. Like, people keep talking about it, but this is regular for Hamilton. Like, as soon as any players do well for us, another team comes in and gets, and that's just how it works. That's how we've always worked, and that's how we will always work. They wasn't surprised to see them go, but it's unfortunate.
Again, it's the similarities with ourselves as well. The likes of Lawless moving on when he was out of contract. We had Halkett and Gallagher the summer before. When they're out of contract, they're going to move on when they've been so successful with the club. Yep. Again, just not just plastic pitches in common. So let's move on to the game on Saturday. How do you expect Accies to approach the game, and what players do you reckon Livi will need to keep a close eye on?
I imagine he's lining up fairly similar to what we did against Motherwell, which was the 4 at the back, 1 up top, but kind of keeping it nice and wide. In terms of players you need to keep an eye on, man, I mean, it depends. This is the thing. It's such a mix and match with Hamilton where, well, for whatever reasons, players will be dropped, formations will be changed, and it's never. We've kind of coined the phrase "selection bingo" for our fans, and it's been quite popular on the podcast as selection bingo. You genuinely never know what you're going to get. So, I mean, when we lined up against Motherwell, I'm just getting the lineup now just so I've got it. I mean, we had our back 4, 2 wingers, our 1 striker up top with David Templeton just sitting in kind of number 10. Behind him. Listen, we'll go into Livi game and it'll be a back 3. There'll be no width. It'll be totally different, man. In terms of players to look out for, I mean, our kind of standard ones of people like Marius Ogumpo and David Moyo, purely for their physicality. And I know your defence is very physical, and that's something that Hamilton struggled with playing against Livi. Home or away is how kind of strong you guys are defensively.
Yeah.
And we've not had a great goal scoring start to the season either, so that's not kind of boding well for us. But I'd say Ogumpo, Moyo, purely for the physicality. If Justin Johnson comes on, by the way, he might be the fastest player you'll ever see.
Right.
Like, Justin Johnson is... listen, we've only seen, like, snippets of him in games, but we interviewed Lewis Smith on the podcast last week, and we asked him, who's the fastest player you played with? And he went, Justin Johnson. He's like, no shadow of a doubt, this man is rapid. So I reckon if we can get him running at the wing backs, man, he'll be a danger. He'll be a big danger, I reckon.
There you go. I mean, the boy Ogdenpost caused us a few problems before. I know the game you guys won 2-1 at Hamilton last season, he terrorised our back four that day. So he's caused us problems in the past.
That's the thing. Like, he's caused problems in the past, man, and you kind of go in, and he's had a great end to the season. Yeah. I mean, he caused Rangers, I don't know how many issues at Ibrox. He obviously scored the winner against Kelly, and we kind of thought, great, good confidence, he'll kick on this season. He's been awful. That's the thing.
When you have hopes for someone,
But this is the thing, right? He's been awful, and we're quite open to say he's been awful. But then he'll go against Livi and he'll score a hat-trick. And you're like, where did that come from? Do you know what I mean?
I really hope not. Right.
Well, yeah, of course.
So let's get some predictions for the game then, Ben. How do you see this one come out? I had a wee look at the previous 3 results at Livi, and there's always been a 0 in one column. There's not been a lot in the games. So what are you expecting for this one?
Oh, I want to be positive and say I reckon, I don't think we're strong enough defensively to hold you guys out. So I do reckon you'll score. But I do want to be positive, so I'm going to say 2-1, but with the fallback of maybe a 1 each draw. But I'm going to be positive. I'm going to say 2-1. I do think you'll score, though. That's my only fear.
I think our form's really picked up since the experiment we had at the start of season, playing 3 at the back. It just really didn't work, and it was Motherwell away. We reverted back to kind of what was so successful last year, which is kind of a back 4-2-3-1.
Yep.
And we've looked a totally different animal since. The Ross County game, they had the man sent off, but I think we were totally in control. I think we're starting to gradually look a bit more like ourselves. I think we're going to kick on again. I'm going 2-0 to us.
All right.
I can't see many changes being made to our team other than possibly giving Stokes a run out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I think
that's a great signing, by the way. Sorry to interrupt, but I think it's
no, it's fine. I think I agree with you. I think when we lost Dykes, we had to go and get someone that had almost a proven track record, which is difficult for clubs with the budget that we've got. But yeah, he's not played a lot of football recently, but the guy scored 136 goals in Scotland alone. and I think for us to get someone, just giving him a chance on a 1-year deal, I think we've got a track record of getting the best out of folk. I think he will come good once he's up and running. But that's the only thing I could see with us, is possibly giving him a run out. He's had another couple of weeks of training. But so Ben, just give us some info about podcasts that you guys do. Where can we listen to it and stuff like that?
You can listen to it on YouTube, Only Accies, and the Only Accies podcast on Spotify as well. We do pretty much exactly what you guys do, but for Hamilton. So any big news, player interviews, if we can do any staff interviews, obviously they're great as well. We do fan interviews after each game. So I speak to 2 or 3 different fans after games, get their opinions, it's been rubbish doing it digitally rather than obviously be in person.
It's not the same, is it?
I'd rather be at the season, but it is what it is. But YouTube, Spotify, pretty much exactly what you hear from Livi, but Accies.
Yeah, perfect. Well, that's it for our little preview that we're doing. So, as mentioned, we Talk Livi. You can find us Facebook, Twitter, Instagram by simply searching for Talk Livi. You can also find all our episodes on good podcast streaming sites like iTunes, Spotify, and we're also on YouTube as well. Just search Talk Livi, and you can subscribe to that. But Ben, I wish Accies the best of luck, because the Plastic Alliance is sacred between ourselves and Kilmarnock. However, I obviously don't wish you success for Saturday, but that goes without saying. But thanks very much for joining me, and as I say, good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much for having me. Good luck, but again, like same as you, man. Not good luck for Saturday.
Livingston.